Hey, you guys. Welcome back to another Thursday episode of Clapback Culture. I am your co-host, Julia Jesse with Converge Media, alongside my co-host, Mike Davis. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm loving that the pink Converge shirt.
Oh, did you like all my?
I liked how you presented that, man. Converge is going hard with the merch right now, man. Y'all got to check that out.
Please, Cuddy, make sure you drop a link to some merch, guys. Amari showed us the new T-shirts for Pride, celebrating Pride. We're at the end of Pride Month, or actually, we just ended. Today's the first. So, man, celebrate Pride and purchase one of those T-shirts. They're super fire. Yes. Man, welcome back, you guys. Our wonderful listening audience, viewing audience, you guys, we always love the support. We have a really good show in store for you tonight. There was a lot of stuff that happened, and guess what, guys? I'm here. Okay, there's no connections issues, amen. But we have a good show tonight. We're gonna start with the topics in case you haven't heard. The State Department unveiled a new LGBTQ inclusive policy for passport applicants, y'all. So basically, transgender Americans can now more easily change the sex marker on their passport. The State Department announced this on Wednesday, that procedures will be updated, allowing applicants to self-select their sex and will no longer require medical certification if self-selection doesn't match sex on other official identity documents. Man, what a big, huge change in policy. Here we are at the end of Pride Month. What a great win for the LGBTQ community. I know this is something that is really going to lighten the load for our transgender friends and family, man. I love it.
Yes. And not even just transgender, just anybody that's non-binary or doesn't conform to just the MF, because like that's all that people had to select from at first. And this seems like the first of many things that the State Department wants to do. Shout out to CNN. That's where the article came from. But they kind of broke down that the State Department has even more plans in the future to become more inclusive and to recognize that folks have genders outside of just male and female. So, yes, that is a huge win for that community.
Yeah, it's my hope that this doesn't take too long to roll out policy. I know oftentimes you see it written in the books, but putting it into practice oftentimes is a little slow to carry. So let's get this one rolling, man. Let's get this going for all of our people who don't want to select M or F or something else. So this is
or need medical certification. Like, come on, we don't need that type of barrier.
Man, I mean, can we update the bathrooms too? Can we give the bathrooms to people who don't want? I mean, does it really matter? Can we just have bathrooms where it doesn't matter? Can you just be a person going into a bathroom at this point? I mean, Listen,
we're getting there. I think the youth, the next generation will, because my kids at their school, that's just what it is. So that's what they know. So when they grow up, that's all they're going to know. So it's coming.
It's coming. Okay, good. Well, you know what else is coming? Some heat is coming to the Trump Organization and its CFOs. And its CFO was indicted by the Manhattan Grand Jury, y'all. We have a clip. We're going to play that, and then we're going to talk about it. Hang tight.
The breaking news I mentioned just before the commercial now out of New York City. The Washington Post is now reporting that a grand jury has now filed criminal indictments against the Trump Organization and against its longtime chief financial officer, Allen Weisselberg. The indictments, the paper reports, will remain sealed until tomorrow afternoon. Not until then, it reports, will we know all of the details. But right now, the Washington Post reports that the charges are related to allegations of unpaid tax benefits. Weisselberg will also reportedly turn himself in tomorrow, again, according to the reporting of the Washington Post. Lawyers for the Trump Organization have slammed this investigation as politically motivated. To be clear, CNBC has not confirmed this reporting.
Right. The fire is getting turned up, brother. What's going on?
Weisselberg is going down. I'm gonna have to slide to the notes because this man did a lot. So it goes back until 2005. They got Weisselberg on 15 felonies, but they have the Trump Organization as well as his company that handles payroll. So it's like the Trump Payroll Corporation as well. They got brought up on 10 charges, but according to this indictment, Weisselberg was receiving perks instead of compensation for the work that he was doing dating back to 2005. And some of those perks included an Upper West Side apartment, a pair of Mercedes Benzes for him and his wife, and a private school tuition for 2 of his grandchildren. But the taxes that he evaded was $1.76 million in income and $900,000 in federal, state, and city taxes because he didn't report that he lived in New York when he did. And he also received $133,124 in state tax refunds that he was not entitled to. So he's going down for sure.
Wait a minute, Mike Davis. Did you just say he got over 100,000 back?
Yes, he did.
So he evaded taxes and still copped $100,000 refund check?
Yes.
And got a double, he got a pair of Mercedes Benzes for him and the wife, private school tuition for the kids.
For the grandkids, to be fair. Yes.
For the grandkids.
Yes,
man,
that's crazy.
I guess it pays to work for the Trump Organization. They taking care of their folks.
It must, man. At the end of the year, I gotta pay taxes. But this man, he took home $133,000. Okay, man.
Listen, it looks like our viewing audience is not really moved by this. Leon is like, it ain't gonna stick. Kaylee says, indictments are like ham sandwiches. Anybody can get one, but it doesn't mean jack. Listen, Kaylee, I'm with you. That's a big legal term. Is that if you can indict anybody, you try to indict a ham sandwich. So that's a big deal. Oh, shout out to Big O on the live in the clap.
Hey.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of all holding our breath to see what happens with this Trump Organization. Yeah. The Trump Organization is pushing hard as it relates to these elections coming up. Donald Trump is back on the canvassing trail. He is back doing speeches and galvanizing his base. So this is, coming all at the same time. We'll see.
We're going to talk about Trump next week, though, because somebody just told me that he started a new social media platform. I didn't have time to look into it before the show, but if that's real, we're going to talk about that next week.
Yeah, I heard something about that, but it wasn't totally solidified. So when we get the details on that, you guys, we'll definitely, if you hear it before us, slide in our DMs, drop us a tweet, let us know. we want to be able to spill the tea right here on Bad Culture.
I'm gonna sign up and I'm gonna come with some screenshots for y'all. We're gonna have the tea for sure.
Yeah. So look, in other news, last week we did hear about Derek Chauvin in that case. We're gonna go ahead and put a bow on that. He was finally sentenced. He got 22.5 years. We have a clip that I wanted to share with you guys. I think it's important when we talk about sentencing. We talked a lot about this case, but when we talk about sentencing, it's very important to hear the words from the judge to talk about how he rendered this decision. And I think it's even more important because when we go into talking about Bill Cosby, which we'll talk about at the end of our show, I want us to consider that as well. So let's go ahead and play that clip, Cuddy, and we'll come back and talk about it.
But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family. I'm not going to attempt to be profound or clever because it's not the appropriate time. I'm not basing my sentence also on public opinion. I'm not basing it on any attempt to send any messages. A trial court judge, the job of a trial court judge is to apply the law to specific facts and to deal with individual cases. And so, Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury, finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You are granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis.
Ooh, you guys, it brings up a lot of emotion to me to watch a sentencing. You guys do know my husband is incarcerated, so I have sat through a courtroom to watch sentencing on more than one occasion, and it's a heavy thing, but I think it's important for us to watch our justice system play out in its entirety. Because we can get polarized by what the media shares with us. We can watch these clips and think it's not really much, but we have to remember that legally the judge is rendering a decision and making sure that the audience, in this sense, because he knows it's being televised, knows that this is not an emotional decision, that he is basing his decision based on law, that he is not being swayed by the media, that he's not being swayed by opinion, but that he's really, identifying what happened in this case and using the rule of law to sentence Derek Chauvin. Our law has to work that way, right? And again, I'm not saying that, our criminal justice system need not be reformed, because there definitely is room for reform, right? But what I am saying is that this is a time where we're actually seeing our justice system work the way it's intended to work. And so, I really appreciate the remarks that the judge made. He said that rather than giving, a full dissertation and, kind of speaking cleverly and being witty, for the public, but that he was going to write it in a 22-page brief. Go back and read these, read the judge's opinion, why he was sentenced this way. Go back and read the rule of law. A lot of people have things to say about, Bill Cosby having his sentence being vacated, But when you go back to the rule of law, things stand, and we have to stand on what is written in the law.
That's very well put, Julia. I watched the whole, I think it was on for like 2 hours. And I did hear what the judge said, and I thought it was powerful. And I mean, 22 and a half years, that's a victory. I don't know any other way to look at it. It doesn't bring George Floyd back, but at least it shows that justice was served. I wrote about it for the Emerald. So, you know, Cuddy, you could drop that link, and a lot of my thoughts are in there. But it's not over for Derek Chauvin, and I'll definitely put that out there as well. I mean, there's still federal indictments coming for the time that he beat that teenager with a flashlight and he kneeled on that kid. So he's not out of the water yet. And I don't think that those 22 and a half years are going to be all the time that he gets. So it's nice that we can finally put a bow on this and not have to watch that trial, because the trial was agonizing. That the testimony and all of that, it was tough.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Mike, you make a good point. There's nothing we can do to bring George back, right? We cannot bring George back. We can't, erase the trauma that a lot of children face by watching him be executed in the street by a police officer. And so there's a lot of trauma that the first, responders, have to go through. There's a lot of trauma that we all have to kind of reconcile with just going through this. And I think, this sentence is a part of our healing journey. And it's our first chance of moving the needle in the right direction. So we have more trials to come up. There are 3 other officers that are still yet to go to trial. Derek Chauvin will be brought back from prison, to come and be a part of those sentencing, those trials. So there's more to come in this. The chapter is not, the book is not closed. The chapter is finished, but the book is not closed. So again, this is a start in the right direction, man.
Absolutely.
So look, guys, let's take a quick break. But when we come back, we want to talk about who did it for the culture. There's a few things to clap back on. We want to talk about this band coming through the Olympics. So hang tight. We'll be on break. And when we come back, that's what we'll chat about.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Hey y'all, this is Julia Jesse of Converge Media.
And I'm Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald.
And together we host Clapback Culture every Thursday night at 7 p.m. right here on Converge Media.
And as y'all know, we've done a lot of coverage of the vaccine on our show. And we've both shared our experiences about getting vaxxed.
We are here to let you know that in the state of Washington, everyone over 12 years old is eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Keep in mind that there is no cost for the COVID-19 vaccine. This also means that you don't need to have medical insurance, so don't let that stop you.
You can get more information and resources by visiting kingcounty.gov/COVID.
If you're more comfortable speaking to a live person, you can call 206-477-3977.
The hotline is especially good for those in our community who may need translation services.
Or to set up an in-home vaccination appointment for themselves or someone they know that might not be comfortable at a vaccination site due to a disability, anxiety, or other reasons. or just to be connected to other resources.
Here in King County, the COVID vaccine is accessible and available. The summer is here, and we know you want to be outside. So let's celebrate the summer safely by getting vaxxed.
Mike, I really love your PSA. It was really good.
It was not good. It wasn't good at all, but it's all good. Somebody done heard me burp on air. Now I'm sitting there looking like a robot in the man. Y'all doing me cold tonight.
Listen, you guys, charge it to his head, not his heart, okay? Listen, so really make sure if you are not vaccinated, be responsible. It's free, it's available. You know, King County has so many resources to make sure you can get vaccinated safely. Please check out the link. We'll drop the link again in the live stream, and we'll also drop that phone number. Sign up now, take a friend, take your family. Let's get vaccinated, vax out so we can max out.
Hey.
So look, Mike, I mean, you're a man with a head of hair. You know, growing up as a little girl, my Auntie Laura is actually on the live stream right now. She was the one who put us in swim lessons. It was a big deal as a Black girl coming up to go swimming. And you really have to make a lot of decisions about hair, swim caps, and whether or not you're actually going to go into the water. And that's a big deal. You know, little Black girls all over the world know it's not that we don't know how to swim. It's that I don't want to get my hair wet. I don't even want to get my hair wet when it's braided. Okay. I just don't want to get my hair wet. It's just a thing. Okay. So there's a beautiful organization that has swim caps. Okay. And there's swim caps specifically designed for beautiful, curly, long, luscious hair, for natural hair to go underneath these swim caps. Can you, Cuddy, can you put up that overlay for us, please? Let's talk about this story. So the Black-owned brand is called Soul Cap, and they create inclusive swimwear, but it's been rejected from being approved to be worn at the Olympics this summer, which is crazy. The brand designed swim caps that are made to accommodate diverse hair types. So y'all have seen me with my big curly afro. I was on last week with it. Imagine trying to stuff all of that in a standard size swim cap. Well, these swim caps were banned by FINA because, to their best knowledge, athletes competing at international events have never needed or used caps of that size or configuration. What do you guys think about this bar? I mean, Mike, is this what a terrible decision this is.
Absolutely. So just to clarify, FINA is the Federation for International Competition in Water Sports. They are the body that is responsible for approving, or in this case, banning the apparel that can and can't be used in water sports in the Olympics. So, I mean, that last sentence on the overlay, I think, says it all. That because to their best knowledge, an athlete in international competition has never needed it before. I mean, that just sounds like anti-Blackness to me.
Listen, I mean, it makes me think about, you know, the time my mom came to visit me here in DC and she saw all the Black hair products in Walmart were locked behind a container. I mean, only the Black hair products were locked behind a container. So it's little things like that. Like, you have a beautiful brand that's really promoting inclusiveness.
Yes.
My hair does not fit under a standard swim cap. There's no way.
Mine either.
No, there's no way. I would have to braid my hair all the way down into cornrows and then take it and then stuff it and squeeze that swim cap on. And the thing about a swim cap is, if it's not on tight enough, if you can't get it over, your hair gets wet.
Point.
There's no point.
Yo, my hair is not done right now because I went out of town and I swam, and then I came home and we had a heat wave, so I had to get in the water again. If I knew this company existed, though, I for sure might have bought a swim cap. Like, it's a great company. And to have this ban in a year where we have multiple Black women that qualify to go to the Olympics, it's just a slap in the face. I mean, swimmers have diverse hairstyles, and just because you've never seen it before doesn't mean that you're not going to see it now. And I can't believe that they actually made that statement? Like, how do you make a statement rooted in that much anti-Blackness?
I mean, I don't know how we do it. I mean, here we are. Tanya makes a good point. Tanya says 2 Jamaican swimmers are going to the Olympics. One has long curly hair. Imagine my beautiful sisters, okay, and my brothers with these locks. There's just no way. Well, it causes you to have to make a decision on how you want to wear your protective style. So I have braids in right now, and I have my hair on top of my head. But I don't want to. This is an easier style for me to have. Imagine if I was going swimming. I just don't want my hair wet, because I don't want to have to go through all the trials and tribulations thereafter, wash my hair, comb it out, deep condition, and then figure out what I'm going to do with it after that. Give me a nice swim cap that will fit over my braids, twists, locks, and faux locks, okay?
Yes.
And let me just, listen. Andrew says swimmers have diverse hairstyles. The city of Seattle needs to sell these at the pool. Good point, because
great point.
When I used to go to Rainier Beach Community Center all the time and buy those little swim caps that they had, they don't fit. They did not fit over our hair.
No, that's facts. And to the person that just said it shows who's not in the room, you're absolutely right. When those people at FINA came up with this decision, we know who was not a part of that decision. And when they kicked that decision to the Olympic Committee, we know who did not review this decision. I mean, because if you had some diversity in those rooms, there's no way that this happens.
Andrew says, and the aquatic managers kept dismissing this. Yeah, because, guess what? If it's not a problem for you personally or the people in your circle, then you just don't think it's a larger problem. But this has to be like the number one issue on why Black kids don't go swimming. Or, I mean, Auntie Lolo, chime in. I mean, you would go to the pool, the park, or wherever, and they say, you can get in the water, but don't get your hair wet. You better not, because that's hours. I mean,
it's a real thing.
It's hours of trying to get this done. It took me 6 hours to get my hair braided. Okay, 6. You think I'm taking this out? This ain't coming out for another month. Okay, 6 hours. Child, listen. Well, look, guys, I really, really, really want to take a deep dive into this Bill Cosby thing. Patty, do we need to take another break before we talk about that? I don't see it. Should we? Okay, let's take a quick break, you guys. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get ready. Get your cup of water, your tea, your coffee, okay? And let's come back. We have to talk about Bill Cosby's sentence being vacated. Well, stand by. Here we go.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Hey y'all, this is Julia Jesse of Converge Media.
And I'm Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald.
And together we host Clapback Culture every Thursday night at 7 p.m. right here on Converge Media.
And as y'all know, we've done a lot of coverage of the vaccine on our show. And we've both shared our experiences about getting vaxxed.
We are here to let you know that in the state of Washington, everyone over 12 years old is eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Keep in mind that there is no cost for the COVID-19 vaccine. This also means that you don't need to have medical insurance, so don't let that stop you.
You can get more information and resources by visiting kingcounty.gov/COVID.
If you're more comfortable speaking to a live person, you can call 206-477-3977.
The hotline is especially good for those in our community who may need translation services.
Or to set up an in-home vaccination appointment for themselves or someone they know that might not be comfortable at a vaccination site due to a disability, anxiety, or other reasons, or just to be connected to other resources.
Here in King County, the COVID vaccine is accessible and available. The summer is here, and we know you want to be outside. So let's celebrate the summer safely by getting vaxxed.
You guys, that announcement, me and Mike just think it's the funniest thing. Listen, we tried, okay?
I'm not an actor.
Copy, it sounds like a voice. I think we tried to copy Jake and didn't do a good job. Well, look, you guys, something not so funny is this Bill Cosby sentence. I know this perhaps took a lot of people by surprise. Did not take me so much by surprise because this is standing on, the deal that he made. So this is what we're going to do. We have a full spread of things to open up the floor to help you guys understand what happened, because a lot of people have their opinions, thoughts, and comments, but let's break down the facts. First, let's go ahead and play that clip, Cuddy. We'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Bill Cosby walked free today after the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania overturned his assault conviction, leaving his accusers stunned. Cameras captured Cosby returning to his home outside Philadelphia just hours after the ruling came out. The judges pointing to a vast violation of Cosby's due process rights in the decision. So what happened? Well, more than a decade ago, a prosecutor decided not to charge the actor. Cosby then agreed to testify in a civil case, and during that admitted to giving quaaludes to a woman he was pursuing. That became key evidence in the subsequent criminal trial. The judge's ruling that should not have been used, writing, "He must be discharged, and any future prosecution on these particular charges must be barred. We do not dispute that the remedy is both severe and rare, but it is warranted here, indeed compelled." They say he cannot be retried on these same charges. His attorneys said today he never should have been charged in the first place. Bill Cosby came out of his house with his lawyers today, who talked to reporters there. Cosby was silent, but later gave an interview to a radio station.
This is for all the people who have been imprisoned wrongfully, regardless of race, color, or creed. Because I met them in there. People who talked about what happened and what they did. And I know there are many liars out there.
His accuser in this case, Andrea Constand, said she is disappointed and hopes it does not discourage other women from coming forward. In 2018, a jury convicted Cosby of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault against Constand. Constand accused him of drugging and sexually assaulting her in his home outside Philadelphia back in 2004. Bill Cosby has denied all accusations of wrongdoing and said his contact with Constand was consensual. He served 2 years of his 3 to 10-year sentence. More than 60 women have accused Cosby of misconduct, ranging from groping to sexual assault to rape, going back decades. And at the time, the Cosby conviction was widely considered the first major win for the Me Too movement.
Yeah. So, Mike Davis, this is not very complicated, but I want to break it down for the people a little bit. So DA Bruce Castor Jr., who is known for being Donald Trump's attorney for the attack on the Capitol, right? And so that he's kind of famous for that. So 10 years ago, back in 2005, when he was the district attorney for Montgomery County, he basically said that they didn't have enough sufficient and credible admissible evidence to charge Cosby related to the Constand incident that they could prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So because of that determination, they felt like they would not be able to win the criminal trial at if they went to trial, that they would not win. So Castor said, okay, let's just, help Constand find a path to some form of justice, right? So he decided that a civil lawsuit for the money would be her best option. So boom, once that happens, he makes a deal with Bill Cosby. He makes a deal with Bill Cosby and says, okay, if you come in and do this civil trial, withhold your Fifth Amendment right, and we'll grant you total immunity, and you'll come in, you'll say whatever you gotta say, but we'll grant you immunity, and we'll never be able to charge you criminally for these crimes, essentially. So a deal is a deal, Mike Davis. At the end of the day, Castor made a deal with Bill Cosby that after he made these statements and I don't know why I keep wanting to say Donald Trump. Bill Cosby incriminated himself. They technically legally could not use that against him. And so here we are 10 years later, after DA Castor is no longer the district attorney, that the new district attorney did not want to hold up that deal, you guys. And so what happened was 10 years later with the new district attorney, they said Castor didn't have the right to make that deal with Bill Cosby. And they decided to get their own private investigators and basically bring that case back to life. Hence why Bill Cosby was tried and convicted back in 2018. Now, here we are present day, you guys. Here we are, 2021. Bill Cosby didn't serve two years and some change on his sentence. And his lawyers have been fighting that that Bill Cosby should have never been brought to court in the first place. Mike, is a deal a deal?
A deal's a deal. Straight up. I mean, I know how people feel, but he had a deal. You got to honor the deal. Blame the DA. That's that's the smoke I got in the clapback is, it was a bad deal that they made. And I guess at the time, they thought that was the best option, but I mean, it ended up ballooning into 60 women, but it's too late because that deal was made and you got to honor it. So yeah, here we are.
Yeah. So in overturning Cosby's 2018 sexual assault conviction, the court said Montgomery County DA Kevin Steele was legally bound by Castor's decision not to prosecute Cosby more than a decade earlier when he was the DA, and therefore he should have not brought charges with the new evidence surface. So even with the new testimony and accusations from the other survivors, that none of that is admissible because there was no path to lead them there. Additionally, a lot of those survivors, those cases were, too old to be admissible in court. And so because of that, they really didn't have anything to stick to Bill Cosby.
Yeah. I know this situation makes people feel a certain way, but I don't want to have any situations in this particular country with our legal system where we're going to allow DAs to go back on their word like that. So yes, they need to be held to that. If they said that he can't be charged, then he can't be charged. But we don't want to open the can of worms to let them start going back on their word. That'll be weaponized.
Right. Catherine, I think you make a good point. She mentions they didn't have a case. However, that doesn't change what happened, but doesn't change what happened or not. Oh, there we go. Okay. He is not exonerated, Izzy. They didn't do their jobs. In fact, well, let's break that down a little bit, right? Number one, he's not exonerated. His sentence was vacated. So it's almost as if he never was charged with a crime whatsoever. And then the second part is, does it change they didn't do their jobs. They actually did do their jobs, right? The Supreme Court, I would argue that the Supreme Court did do their job, right? They sought to rectify a deal that was made. Was it a dirty deal? Maybe so. I mean, that's up, for a matter of opinion, but the deal was done. Leon says, they got to honor the deal. Tracy, Dr. Jackson, let's have you weigh on this. I know you're our resident legal correspondent in the room. What say you? It's the law, and that's why the PA Supreme Court ruled the way they did. Let's bring it back to what we discussed in the Derek Chauvin case, you guys. I wanted to make that a point that the judge made his decision not based on emotion. A lot of times what we're seeing now is that we are in the court of popular opinion, and that is not the rule of law. And unfortunately, it does not change what happened to those women, right? It doesn't change their truth. It doesn't change their trauma, but it is where we're at. And that's why the Supreme Court ruled that way, right? Because it's not a matter of emotion. It's a matter of, can you prove this beyond a reasonable doubt? Is this information true? And that is how the law works. We have to remember to take that emotion out of it.
I think you're absolutely right. But you mentioned the court of public opinion. Cuddy, can you put the overlay with the tweet from Phylicia Rashad? Because this was interesting. So on the right side of this overlay, you see Phylicia Rashad, who was Bill Cosby's co-star in The Cosby Show. And she said, finally, a terrible wrong has been righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected. Yo, people destroyed her online for having that take. And people even tried to come for her job at Howard over that. And I'm just curious, Julia, how do you feel about that?
So Phylicia Rashad is a board trustee at Howard University, and she spoke out on Twitter and celebrated this victory for her friend, Cosby. Now, Howard came after and made a statement to make sure that they spoke on behalf of victims, right? And spoke on behalf of people who have been sexually abused, sexually assaulted, and wanted to offer their sympathy. Now, your question to me, Mike, was how do I feel about Phylicia Rashad speaking out? Number one, I feel like it's her platform. And she has strongly advocated for Bill Cosby from the beginning of this until the end. I don't have any feelings about this because I don't want to bring any emotions into it. Based on the rule of law, Bill Cosby made a deal with the district attorney not to be charged. Andrea Constant agreed that he would not be criminally charged. They didn't have enough forensic evidence. They were not able to use the recordings because they were illegal recordings. Therefore, they did not have enough to charge Bill Cosby. Phylicia Rashad, likely could be supporting the fact that they didn't have a case, right? And so we can't continue to go after people when there's just not a case. I understand that it doesn't. I don't want to. I think you and I had talked about this offline. I really didn't want anybody to feel like we were victim shaming, but I really wanted to just bring the facts and say what can be supported in law. Now, do I agree that Bill Cosby should have, some of these honorary degrees pulled, advertisements pulled, this, that, and the third? Yeah, people don't want to work with him because he's a rapist, an accused rapist. Cool, no problem. But again, the law is not a court of public opinion, right? So we got to stick to that. We have to stick to what the script says. But yeah, I don't think Phylicia Rashad should have to mute herself.
Okay, that was the bigger question.
Yeah.
Somebody just put it in the chat as well. She's the dean of arts. It looked like people were literally coming for her job, and it's like, yo, she has a right to say what she wants to say. I don't think she should be fired for it. And also, I think she believes that he's innocent, and she's allowed to have her opinion. To be honest, he would have, had these mistakes have not been made, he'd be in jail right now. So, I don't think how she feels really matters. Like, it's not on her. Mistakes were made, so he's free. If she thinks he's innocent, I think she's entitled to her opinion. I don't like the idea of the mob coming for people's jobs. She didn't commit any crimes.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit more.
Sure.
We talked about this in a previous episode of Clapback where we discussed, I think it was a basketball player or something like that, and he was, or it was one of the sportscasters, and they were out and they had the strippers and all of that, and we were talking about people, what they do offline being associated with the company that they work for. If we're speaking to that basis, I think that I hope I'm saying your name right. Baria Benjamin. Let's put up her comment. She says, as a brand new dean of art, she could have been more tactful for sure. Absolutely, 100%. Felicia Rashad must not feel like I guess she's not feeling nicked up about her job, right? At the end of the day, Howard University is not separating themselves from this. And they also knew that she was very vocal before she became Dean of Art, right? So they knew that she was already in full support of Bill Cosby. But I agree, she could have been more tactful if she felt that her job was in jeopardy. Now, people who don't care and don't feel like they don't have anything to lose, they don't have to mute themselves. Me personally, a lot of people who feel one way or the other about Bill Cosby, or maybe are in support of Bill Cosby, perhaps won't be so outspoken because they feel that it is taboo. I personally, even if I was Felicia Rashad, I probably would have been a little bit more tactful, just because you don't want people coming behind you, young students, people who are, these kids who are impressionable, to feel like you don't support them. But again, that's emotional. It's not facts. It's not the rule of law. It's not anything that has to do with why Bill Cosby is not being released because he's innocent. Bill Cosby is being released because they should have not charged him to begin with. That's why. So a deal is a deal, you guys. A deal is a straight deal.
I agree. And do we have another video clip that we need to go to?
Yeah, so I didn't want us to end this segment without paying tribute and allowing these survivors to speak. So let's go ahead and play the response from these women who spoke out during this Me Too movement.
Late today, Andrea Constand reacting to the decision, calling it not only disappointing, but of concern in that it may discourage those who seek justice for sexual assault in the criminal justice system from reporting or participating in the prosecution of the assailant. Her fellow accusers distraught. Janice Baker Kinney texted, "She's angry, frustrated, sad, all the emotions, and sick to my stomach." Victoria Valentino said she didn't believe it when she first heard.
"I'm outraged. I'm infuriated. How anybody could allow a little legal glitch to release a sociopath, a narcissistic, pathological, lying predator, rapist, who had no concern, no feeling, no remorse."
Cosby was never charged with rape and denied all allegations against him. Heidi Thomas was one of the 5 women who testified in support of Constand about her own experience.
"I am furious with all of the enablers, over 5 decades of enablers. And today, the way I feel, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania is an enabler."
Do you still feel some vindication that the jury believed you?
No. It's that sucker punch is basically saying it doesn't matter what happened to you. It doesn't matter what happened to over 50 women who have told their stories. It's an absolute affront. It's a slap in the face. It's an insult.
Many do not see a legal path for another case, but some say they're not giving up. There is much more to say and do, Eden Turl said late today, if the Me Too movement is going to mean anything at all in the future.
Kate joining me now in the studio. This has to be devastating for Andrea Constand.
Yeah, when I sat down with her in 2018 exclusively, she said she didn't feel that she alone took down Bill Cosby. She felt like she was part of a collective, Lester. And today, in that statement, she says she and her team say they remain grateful to those who came forward and urge all victims to have their voices heard.
I would argue that Andrea Constand is not that devastated. And I would argue that because, after the assault, she was still in relationship with Bill Cosby. So I don't think she's necessarily super devastated that his sentence was vacated, because he wasn't convicted until almost 10 years after the incident. And after the incident, she talked to him on the phone. She met up with him in person. Again, not victim shaming, but I'm just thinking, I don't know if it were as big as perhaps she thought it was until later on down the line. Now, I can't speak for the other victim, or let's call them survivors. And I can't say what's true or what's not true. I don't know all of their stories. And, I support the Me Too movement. And I think a lot of things that movement did brought to light a lot of women's issues. There is a lot of misogyny in the workforce and in the world. And oftentimes you find yourself up against men in different environments that, will put you in a compromising position. But I think there's a lot to learn from here, right? I think, if as I go through the 59-page document that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court put out, and I read through the interactions that Andrea Constand had with Bill Cosby, I read through it and I put myself in her shoes and I think about, okay, what can I learn from this, right? Not what should she have done, what can I learn moving forward based on what it is. Number one, I'm not going to a man's house at a certain time of night, especially if it's just business. There's certain ways that I personally will conduct myself as a woman to not put myself in compromising positions, because I know that oftentimes men will try and have tried in the past to take advantage of me. And I do my best not to put myself in compromising positions. Now, that means that, men still need to be held accountable. And, maybe even women do the same thing. But I would argue that we still need to hold predatory people accountable for taking advantage of people or trying to take advantage of people. So the stories of these survivors still needs to be told. But again, I stand on the fact that this is not about feeling or emotion. This is about the rule of law.
I agree. Man, I don't even know what to say. That was a parade of white women, and those white women are upset. I wasn't there. I mean, like, it's just, I don't know. It just drums up a lot of feelings for me, man. I'm a black man. It's hard sometimes for me to hear just all those white women come at a black man like that. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just saying there's a lot. That's heavy.
Well, I think it's not about whether or not he's innocent, right? The law requires, can you prove this beyond a reasonable doubt? And at the time, the district attorney said they did not have enough admissible evidence to take this thing to trial to convict. We see this, when we talk about the Harvey Weinsteins and the predatory behavior that he had, right? And he's a white man who assaulted black women, white women, Chinese women. So it don't matter if you're black, white, yellow, or blue. Predatory behavior is predatory behavior. And, at the end of the day, I'm not saying, I don't know if Bill Cosby is a rapist, but I understand that there are allegations that he has exhibited to be predatory behavior. And that definitely needs to be condemned. And that he definitely needs to be held responsible, perhaps in the court of public opinion. But in the court, the court of Pennsylvania, his sentence is vacated, and I stand on the fact that a deal is a deal, right? So we can't have it both ways. We can't have these feelings that, oh, Bill Cosby made me feel this way, and what do we feel about this? The law is not about feelings, and again, I just can't operate on that more enough. Powerful men oftentimes get away with a lot of things. We've seen it with Donald Trump, with Harvey Weinstein. We've seen it with so many of these celebrities, that have come to surface based on the Me Too movement. And me as a woman, I have found myself on the other side of that predatory behavior. And so I stand with those women who say this happened to me. And oftentimes, you get people who don't care or don't believe you. Or there's just I think Tracy put it in here a little bit earlier, you know, the statute of limitation is up. Or you feel like, okay, he's Bill Cosby or he's, you know, Harvey Weinstein. I don't want to damage my career because I don't want to speak truth to power. How am I going to combat? How am I going to go against the machine? And I'm just trying to make my way through life. So people, men, women, and non-binary people need to hold themselves responsible for predatory behavior, point blank, period.
Ooh, Julie, you was on fire tonight.
Thank you.
That's it. There ain't even nothing else to say. Ooh.
Well, look, you guys, I do have some good news that I want to announce. Your girl is now a homeowner as of this afternoon, you guys. So I'm celebrating. I'm grateful. I'm honored. I'm humbled. I can't believe somebody would sell me a house, child, and loan me to get the house, y'all.
Yes. Build that black wealth. I see you.
Okay, you know, I'm over here just, you know, breaking generational curses and building generational wealth. You know, I'm just trying to just build my village over here, y'all. You know, independent, strong black woman right here. Let me adjust my crown. Okay. You know, I'm excited, Mike. You know, this is a big win. You know, I really want our community to really think about investments, think about becoming a homeowner, turn your liabilities into an asset, and you know, let's break these chains, man. This is a win, man. This is a win for everyone.
That's a great way to practice.
You could do it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. All right, y'all. Well, look, that's our show. We had, you know, make sure to fire off on Bill Cosby, y'all. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, because we want to know. We want to have these open discussions and dialogue. So let us know what you think about our clapback segment this week. Mike Davis, that ends our show. When you are not here, where can they find you, brother?
Yo, you all can find me wherever you find the South Seattle Emerald, or you can find me on Twitter at Real M Davis.
Yes. Okay. And when I'm not here, you guys, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. You know what it is. Please make sure you guys, you know, go follow us, pull up. We want to talk to you offline. Okay. Look, Cuddy, thank you so much for having a great show with us. The wings. He helped us out with putting together a great show this week. I'm honored and humbled to continue to share this space with these beautiful creators right here on Converge Media. Make sure you guys follow Converge on all media platforms. All right, y'all. Clapback culture. That's it. Peace.